Hello there and welcome back to the channel. This is Mel's Gaming here with another The Hunter Call of the Wild video. Now today's video is mainly going to be a selection of highlight clips from the past few days. However, I wanted to start off here on my own single player Mississippi Acres Preserve map, as I kind of wanted to talk about the fact that I am going to be starting grinding for some specific trophies from Mississippi Acres here in single player. And I really kind of just wanted to talk about the reasons why I'm going to be doing this. Because recently, like I said, in the past few days really, I have been encountering a huge number of hackers in multiplayer, doing all kinds of just really weird stuff that, you know, I don't agree with. Obviously I don't play using any hacks or cheats, and I'll be there running around hunting normally, and you've got people flying around the map, freezing animals it seems, and shooting them, and it's so bad that it's most multiplayer sessions I'm actually getting into that I'm getting these hackers. And I've actually ended up losing a couple of trophies due to a couple of other things in multiplayer. I actually ended up finding a rare raccoon track not that long ago for a piebald, and unfortunately as soon as I ended up finding that track, got kicked from that session, and that session got taken down. That is one of the downsides to multiplayer, and of course that's something that I know can happen, but it was unfortunate, and I haven't been able to find any rare raccoons since, basically, and that's something I really would like to work towards, hence why I'm shooting all these raccoons here with the 22. But I also ended up losing a trophy from Virunga Savannah because of another player that was following me. And I've been having that happen a lot recently in multiplayers, just with people following me around as well as hackers being in sessions. And all of that's just kind of made me think that just for now I think I'm going to stick to single player and actually just try and grind to get some of those trophies I'm really after. As I mentioned, after losing that one rare raccoon, I haven't been able to find another one. It was actually a grey piebald, and it was actually on release day, and just ever since I've been desperately trying to get any kind of rare raccoon, and unfortunately, no matter how much I've been looking, it's just not been paying off. And of course now, the new map is, you know, it's been out for a couple of weeks, so finding fresh multiplayer maps that haven't been explored at all is getting harder and harder to do anyway, as most people are having their maps at this point mostly explored, so those sort of trophies from initial spawns are slowing down quite considerably. So that's another reason I do think that moving to single player will be beneficial. And as you can see, I prefer actually chasing the raccoons out of their hiding places during the day and just shooting them with the 22 like this. I was going to try and get that fox as well with the 22 if I could, but I sort of decided against it as she went over the hill, but that will be one to take out in future. But I actually find this quite an efficient way of going through the raccoon population, just finding where their rest zones are and then just chasing them around with the 22 and the shotgun. This actually allowed me to take out quite a number of raccoons in quite a short period of time. Of course, with my breath not being the most steady there, I am missing a few shots, but the 22 LR is actually a lot better than the 22 Hornet at taking these guys down quickly, so I much prefer using this over the 22 Hornet. But that's one reason that I'm going to be going to single player, and hopefully we'll be able to get some good trophies if I grind hard enough. It might mean that there's going to be less highlight videos if that I'm still having these kind of issues in multiplayer for a little while. I probably will still go into multiplayer sessions that have a low amount of players, and if there are still some unexplored servers out there, but mostly it's going to be grinding in single player. Also want to apologise for the lack of videos in the past few days. I have unfortunately been a little bit under the weather, and making videos was not really possible, so unfortunately that was a thing. And it also meant that as well, when I was going into multiplayer, I wasn't always on for the longest times possible, as I was very, very tired. But I'm now back to where I should be, and I just wanted to sort of start this video with that little bit of an update on why I'm moving to single player for now at least, and hopefully some of the hackers that are in multiplayer will calm down as the new map gets a little bit more established, because I think with the new map it's brought a lot of new people in, and unfortunately I think that's why there's a lot of them on the new map right now. But as I mentioned, I have been spending a lot of time now in my single player, and as I was actually running around exploring a few of the further reaches of the map, I ended up finding something pretty cool. That right there is a level 6 male Leucistic Grey Fox. Now this is only the second Leucistic Grey Fox I've ever seen, and they are just so stunningly beautiful. And the first one I ended up finding was actually a female in multiplayer, and she was actually smaller than this. So when I saw that this one was a male and he was a level 6, I was hopeful that maybe if I could make a good vital hit on this guy, that hopefully he would make gold, which would be a very suitable medal considering the absolutely gorgeous colour of him. And just a stunning looking animal. As it moves around here through sort of the underbrush, it just stands out. Absolutely gorgeous. The rare grey foxes are some of my favourite rares now in the entire game, and it just doesn't get boring picking up their tracks. And I literally only picked up this guy's track as I was running around shooting raccoons, and it was kind of lucky that I did, because he was in an area that I probably wouldn't not necessarily go to all the time, so I was really lucky that I actually picked up his track. But managed to get him to go nervous there, so jumped up just to make him go alert so that I could get a shot on him with the 22 Hornet. I do like using the Hornet on the Grey Foxes. I think it's a good weapon for taking them down anywhere from under 100 metres. And as you can see, had to take a little bit of a blind shot there as I couldn't actually spot him, but he is going down really, really quickly, and I was pretty confident that I made a vital hit, and as I ran over you can see the vital blood, and that is a beautiful Leucistic fox down. Now I'm just going to use his fur as a background here for the harvest screen, and picking him up, he is a gold at 5.50. So a absolutely stunning gold level 6 Leucistic Grey Fox. As I said, this is only the second ever Leucistic for these guys I've ever seen. It's the first male, and he actually made gold, which is really, really, really awesome. And this guy was just hiding out on my own map in an area I hadn't fully explored yet. So maybe as we go through single player and go more to those areas that aren't necessarily bustling hotspots but do still contain animals, maybe we'll find other little hidden gems like this, and they are just stunning. I will never ever get tired of seeing rare grey fox. Hopefully maybe in future we can get an even bigger one for the Leucistics and for the other rares, but for now I'm more than happy. That is just absolutely beautiful, and these guys do seem decently rare. You don't see a whole lot of them posted, so it's always really nice to take down a pretty rare animal like this. Something special as well about taking down rare small predators. It just always feels extra cool. Now, moving on from one rare grey fox to another, and this one was a little bit different. So, I have a very close friend called Vital Assassin, and he was playing around on the new map, going around shooting quail, when he picked up the track of a piebald female grey fox. Now, he spent a long time looking for her, unable to find her, and basically he came to me with a little bit of a challenge. He said, look, if you can go on my map, find it and shoot it, you can have it, because I cannot find her. She's in a weird area. I don't know exactly where she is because I just picked up the track while I was shooting quail. So go and see if you can find it via the tracks. I have no idea. Basically, good luck, see if you can find it. So I couldn't turn down the offer of a challenge, and after about half an hour, I'd say, running around on his map, ended up picking up her track, and she was being so difficult, going over her tracks backwards and forwards again and again, but eventually managed to track her down actually to the river, and managed to get her here going alert. That is a really, really cool looking grey fox. Just look at that beauty. Managed to again put a pretty solid long shot in her there with the 22 Hornet, and you can see her health dropping there. Now she is only a level 3, but I couldn't care less. I was so excited to have an opportunity to go and look for a Piebald Grey Fox. They were one of the rares I wanted off of this map the most, and they are just absolutely on the next level stunning. Unfortunately, my friend doesn't actually like the Piebalds for them, which is why he sort of set me the challenge to go and find her, because that is not his favourite rare for the Grey Fox, but I was more than ecstatic to take her down. Just look at that beautiful fox. absolutely stunning. You can see that even though it doesn't quite show that it penetrates through enough, it actually ended up with a left lung shot. And yeah, you can see the 1.83 kilometer tracking distance, and that was just mainly her going over her own tracks backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. Really, really difficult one to actually end up finding, which is why I accepted the challenge, because it was just a go and see if you can find it. It wasn't, oh, she's over there, go shoot it. There definitely was an element of challenge, and I live for the challenge in this game. So that was really awesome. Now, something that's really cool to note about the Piebald Grey Fox is there is more than one pattern for the Piebalds. There is one that has like a completely white face, whereas this one is like 3/4 white on its face. And yeah, I'm definitely going to try and get the other Piebald variation for it. As far as I know, there's only 2. There could even be more. If you know of more, please do make sure to let me know down in the comments. But I'm just absolutely thrilled. One of the coolest looking rares in the game, in my opinion, just because they're so unique. There's not just, you know, oh, it's got a white, you know, partly white body or something. That white face and the different colour eyes is just so beautiful. And thank you, Vital, so much for setting me the challenge of actually going to find this on your map. It was really, really fun, and I was so excited to actually track this down, and now for her to be in my trophy lodge. Really, really awesome. And sticking with foxes yet again, in a different multiplayer session, just a completely random server, I ended up picking up a Melanistic female grey fox track. This is actually the second Melanistic Grey Fox I have found via the tracks, and this is why I preach always to pick up the tracks when you're in multiplayer and just open your map and see what fur type it is. Because if I hadn't done that, I would never have known that there was a Melanistic Grey Fox here. And she was like right outside a lodge, to the point where I actually had to run away from the lodge to get her to spawn in. She was that close. So that was really, really cool. And she was actually still in her fleeing animation there, but she stopped and turned to face me just long enough that I could get a vital hit on her. And you can see again this beautiful, beautiful fur. I really do like the Melonistic Grey Fox because they do still have sort of orangey patches in their fur. There's a lot of detail in them. And as you can see, she is beautiful. So it does say 1.38 kilometer tracking distance, but that was purely because like I said, I had to run away from the lodge and then run back towards the lodge. So yeah, but again, absolutely stunning. Only a little level 4 female silver, but with the rares, especially for things like the predators, I'm not too worried about how big they actually are, because of course they all look the same. If this was a diamond Melanistic Grey Fox, it would pretty much look exactly the same as this. So as far as I'm concerned, that's a really, really cool rare. I really hope they fix their whiskers in the harvest screen soon, because it does look a little bit odd. But I think these guys are fantastic, and to get 3 rare Grey Fox like in a few days was really cool. The only Grey Fox rare I need now is the albino, so I'm going to be grinding for that in single player, and hopefully I can get one to show up. Now, moving on to the next part of this video again, and we are once again taking a look at the American alligators. I have been hunting so hard in multiplayer, desperately trying to find either a Melanistic or an albino, preferably both, and I just have had no luck in terms of finding those 2 rares. I have found a good few level 9s and a good few Piebalds, but no Melanistics and no albinos. And this is another species that I'm going to be grinding for in single player, and I have actually worked out a pretty good sort of route, I think, already for the gators and how I want to grind them. So hopefully we can get one of those, or hopefully both of those rares to show up, because I do desperately want to have both in my trophy lodge before I look at doing a trophy lodge tour, which is something I know a lot of you have been asking for, and I promise, working on it as best as I can. I'm just very, very picky about making sure that that lodge is the best it can possibly be, with as many cool trophies on display as possible before I actually show it off to you guys. And the Melanistic and albino gator is just something I need in that lodge before I'll be happy to show it off. But as you can see, I managed to drop this guy in his tracks with a spinal cord shot there, right through the middle of his neck at the base of the skull. and he is a pretty decent sized diamond at 500.70. I'm always happy to see them breaking that 500 mark. I really would like to get a max weight, max score one, which would be 530 kgs and 530 score. That is absolutely the max for them. So that would be another cool thing that could possibly come out of an American alligator grind. As I mentioned, I have found yet more piebalds. This one was a little bit interesting because this was actually the first rare female alligator I'd found. Normally, I don't even go to the areas where the females are, but in this instance I decided I would just have a look, just in case there was something in this particular server that could be really good, and one of the first things I spotted was this beautiful piebald. Now, this is actually one of the patterns that I've shot the least, and it is one of the nicest patterns for the piebalds in my opinion, and I was actually really pleased with that shot. It was a difficult angle, but still managed to get through the skull and the back of the neck. Well, back of the skull and sort of, I guess, the start of the neck, really. But that is a really nice looking little female. Not going to keep her because I can't use her in any multi-mounts, and of course I do already have a male with that patterning, but really nice harvest. Then moving on to a male piebald alligator, and I found this guy, which I think this has to be my favourite piebald pattern for the gators, full stop. It's really, really nice. I love the contrast between sort of the darker brown, dark green patches and the really white looking areas on this pattern. It's just beautiful. And I have actually discovered that there is for sure at least 5 different piebald gator patterns. I have all 5 on display in my trophy lodge, and I am yet to see another one posted. So as far as I know, I have all 5 I should say, of the American alligator piebald variations. And it's pretty cool that there is actually 5 different variations. 2 of the patterns are very, very similar, being high pied or high white patterns, and basically the only difference that you can really see is in the facial markings. It's really, really cool and interesting to see, and I have actually shared the images of the 5 different patterns on the various discords, and it will be something that you guys can see when I do my trophy lodge tour, as I do have every single variation on display in my main trophy lodge. Was really happy with this shot in particular, making a walking neck shot for the first time ever on a gator. I just was really pleased with how that worked out. I couldn't have timed that better, really. It wasn't exactly the most perfect neck shot, but I was really happy with how it actually ended up being. And moving on from one piebald animal to the next, and we're taking a look at a very good size piebald whitetail buck. And this guy I actually found whilst I was hunting American alligators in multiplayer. And I saw him, and normally I wouldn't even pay that much attention to a piebald whitetail. I have quite a few of them, but a really good size gold I will take, and I can use that somewhere in a multi-mount, because this is actually the 3rd really decent sized piebald I've got, and he just looks really, really nice. 215 scoring gold piebald with a really nice rack. This is actually one of my favourite racks for whitetail in general. I just think it looks really smart, and it's not too flimsy looking like some of the smaller whitetail. It's just a really good, solid looking buck. Now, moving on to the last 2 clips of the video now, and we are once again looking at the Eastern Cottontail rabbit. This one in particular is actually a Leucistic that I picked up the tracks of, and I really do like the rare Cottontail rabbits. I think they look fantastic. I do already have a Leucistic, and I do have an albino, and I've recently seen pictures posted of some Melanistic Cottontail rabbits, and they look really smart. So I would like to try and get a Melanistic one if possible. So that's something that I will be grinding for again in single player just whenever I can. And I will be grinding specifically for a female decent sized Melanistic if I can. And maybe even if I get very lucky we can produce a super rare. I've seen a few super rares being posted of Leucistics and albinos, because the level 2 Cottontail rabbits, if they are the max weight estimate, seem to have a pretty decent chance at actually making diamond. And that kind of fits with this last clip. I was tracking a max weight estimate brown colour Eastern Cottontail rabbit, hoping that it would be a diamond, because I specifically really like the brown coloration. I just think it's a really nice classic rabbit look. and as you can see, managed to drop her there with the 22 Hornet. And honestly, I wasn't expecting her to be anything really good. I was just expecting a decent sized gold, which is what most of them are. But when I actually ended up picking her up here, she did actually make diamond at 1.9. And this isn't the first level 2 Eastern Cottontail rabbit diamond I've had. They do seem to be a little bit more common to make diamond at level 2 than some of the other rabbit species in the game. So maybe if we grind rabbits in single player, maybe I'll get lucky enough to have a decent sized female spawn that could potentially be a super rare, which I think would be really, really awesome. I would be so happy to get any kind of super rare in this game. It's been a lot of rares and a lot of diamonds, and I really just would like to get any kind of super rare just to finally say that I've gotten one. But that is going to be it for this video, guys. I hope you have enjoyed it. Sorry there's not quite as many highlights as there normally is in one of these videos, but hopefully with grinding in single player we'll be able to find some really cool stuff to add to the trophy lodge. Thank you as always for all your support, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.